This video is on using properties of exponents to simplify expressions. We're going to simplify each expression using the properties of exponents and write the answers using positive exponents. So we're going to use order of operations. That tells us we have to do the parentheses first. We have a power to a power, so that means you keep the base the same and multiply the exponents. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. That's multiplied by 5x squared. So we don't have anything to multiply 5 by, so just bring it down. Then we have x. We have x to the power of 9 times x to the power of 2. So when you're multiplying bases, add the exponents. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. But we can't have a negative exponent, so remember, moving it from the numerator to the denominator or the reciprocal would make the exponent positive. So we leave the 5 on top because its exponent's already positive. And we move x to the positive 7th to the bottom. All right, next one, I'm going to do what's on top first. Okay, I have 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Now we have x. I'm going to add the exponents of all my x's. This x I need to raise to the power of 1 because if there's an x there, it's to the power of 1. So now that the x's are multiplied together, because there's multiplication between them, we're going to add the exponents. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. Now with y, this y would be to the power of 1, and this y is to the negative 4th. We don't have one over here. 1 plus negative 4 is negative 3, and that is over 2x squared y to the 5th. So next step is we're going to divide. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Now when you divide bases of x, they're the same, so you subtract the exponent. So keep the base the same, subtract the exponent. 6 minus 2 is 4. Y, keep the base the same. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. Okay, so this has a negative exponent. I need to move it to the denominator. The rest has positive exponents, so it stays where it's at. 9x to the 4th over y to the positive 8th. Okay, so we're just going to add some more steps on. Okay, this one I have to do what's in the parentheses first. So 3 needs to be raised to the power of 1. So I'm going to multiply every single exponent inside by the exponent on the outside, a power to a power. Okay, so even the numbers, all the numbers and variables, they have exponents. So I'll raise them to a power if they don't have one. So I keep the base of 3 the same. 1 times 3 is 3. Keep the base of x the same. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Keep the base of y the same. And 0 times 3 is 0. Multiplied by 3x to the 3rd y. All right. Now we're multiplying everything together here because there would be multiplication between our number and variable and between our variables. So we have 3 to the 3rd times 3 to the 1st. So keep the base the same, add the exponents. 3 plus 1 is 4. X to the power of negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. This y would be raised to the 1st. So y to the power of 0 plus 1 is 1, which I can just write as y. So I'm just going to leave it alone. All right, we have a negative exponent, so that moves to the denominator. Leave the rest on top. 3 to the 4th y over x to the positive 3rd. And I can multiply out 3 to the 4th if I want to, or because I was multiplying it by itself, I could keep it with exponents. All right, I'm going to do what's on top first and start with the parentheses. Well, this one's easy. It's raised to the power of 0, the entire parenthesis. So that entire thing equals 1. Multiplied by, I have to multiply all the exponents by negative 1. So raise 2 to the 1st power and z to the 1st power. So this is 2 to the power of 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. X to the power of 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. y to the power of negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. And z to the power of 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Over 6, x to the 5th, y, z to the negative 1st. All right, next step. Dividing. Okay, 1 times 2 to the negative 1st. Well, that's just 2 to the negative 1st. But I can't do 2 to the negative 1st. I have to move that to the denominator. When you're dealing with numbers and you want to multiply numbers together, or in this case, divide 2 to the negative 1st divided by 6, well, it doesn't make any sense. So I have to bring this down. So I have 2 to the positive 1st, which is just 2, times 6. I'm going to leave that part on the bottom, and now I'm going to deal with my variable part. So when you're dividing bases, you are going to subtract the exponents. So keep the base of x the same, and I have negative 2 minus 5. Keep the base of y the same. I have 4 minus 1, because that y is to the 1st. And keep the base of z the same, negative 1 minus negative 1. Okay, you always write your variables on top, so you do top minus bottom, keep it on top. All right, then reduce x to the power of negative 7, negative 2 minus 5, y to the power of 3, 4 minus 1 is 3, and z to the power of 0, because minus and negative changes to plus and positive, and negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Over 2 times 6 is 12. All right, I have a negative exponent, so that has to move to the other side of my fraction bar. So the denominator, z to the power of 0 equals the number 1. And y to the 3rd times 1 is just y to the 3rd. So when I rewrite this, I leave y to the 3rd on top. I have 12 on bottom, x to the positive 7th. Remember, you keep your number in front of the variable. All right, so I have a couple of problems, 4 problems, for you to go ahead and try that are very similar to the ones that I just did with you. Go ahead and try them out, and then I'll go through the answers with you. All right, so the first one is that 5 to the 1st. So we're multiplying all the exponents by negative 1. 5 to the negative 1st, x to the negative 2nd, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, multiplied by 5x to the negative 5th. All right, so this 5 is raised to the positive 1st. So because we're multiplying bases, we're going to add the exponents. Keep the base of 5 the same. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. X to the negative 2nd plus negative 5 is negative 7. All right, this needs to go to the denominator. 5 to the power of 0 is just 1. Over x to the positive 7th. All right, this one, I have 4 times 5 gives me 20. 20 times 4 is 80. Okay. Then I'm going to deal with x. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus negative 1 is 4. I'm just adding exponents because I'm multiplying bases. Y to the power of negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Over, we have 5x to the negative 3rd, y to the 2nd. All right, so we have to divide 80 divided by 5. Leaves me with 16. X to the 4 minus negative 3, y to the power of 0 minus 2. I'm going to rewrite that. I get 16 x to the 7th y to the negative second, because minus the negative changes to plus the positive, and 0 minus 2 is negative 2. I have to bring this negative exponent down to the denominator. So on top, I have 16x to the 7th over y to the second, positive second, because I moved it to the denominator. All right, here I'm going to multiply the exponents inside. It raises 4 to the power of 1 by 2 on the outside. So we get 4 to the second power. 1 times 2 is 2. X to the negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Y to the negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Multiplied by 4. X to the 6th, y to the 8th. All right, I'm going to raise 4 to the first, so I can multiply bases that are the same and add the exponents. 4 to the power of 3, because 2 plus 1 is 3. X to the power of, I have negative 8 plus 6. Y to the power of negative 6 plus 8. So that gives me 4 to the third, x to the negative second, negative 8 plus 6. Y to the positive second, negative 6 plus 8. All right, negative exponents need to be moved to the denominator. Move that x. Everything else stays on top. So that means we have 4 to the third, y to the second, over x to the second. All right, last one. All right, I'm going to multiply all the exponents inside by negative 2, raise that 10 to the first. So it gives us 10 to the 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. X to the 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And y to the power of negative, or positive 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Multiplied by, here we have to the power of 3. So raise 3 to the power of 1. So we have 3 to the power of 1 times 3 is 3. X to the power of negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Y to the power of 5 times 3 is 15. Over 5, x to the fourth, y to the negative second. All right. For the numbers, the bases aren't the same, so I can't just add the exponents. One thing that I need to do is move this to the denominator so I can deal with that exponent. That means it's multiplied, the denominator's multiplied by 10 to the negative second. So I'm just going to rewrite this here. 10 to the positive second is now down there. I moved it. Okay, I'm just going to write everything on the bottom because that's going to stay there for now. So on top, after I move this, I have 3 multiplied by nothing, so it's just 3. I'm multiplying, so I'm going to add the exponents if they're the same base. We have x to the power of negative 4 plus negative 6 is negative 10. Y to the power of negative 6 plus 15 is positive 9. All right, now I need to actually deal with multiplying this out. Okay, so on top here, I'm going to leave my 3. I have x to the negative 10th minus the 4th, because remember when you're dividing, if the bases are the same, subtract. Y to the power of 9 minus negative 2 over 10 squared is 100, because remember that means 10 times 10. Okay, oh, this 3 is raised to the power of 3. I did not bring that down. Okay, that 3 was to the power of 3. Okay, multiply by 5. I moved everything else to the top, so it's just times 5. So 3 to the power of 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay. We have x to the power of negative 10 minus 4 is negative 14. Y to the power of change minus a negative to plus a positive, so 9 plus 2 is 11 over 500. Okay, So I'm going to say that I need to move this to the denominator, which gives me 27 y to the 11th over 500 x to the positive 14th.